Well, hello and a very warm welcome to you. We're here today to talk to you about how unbelievably Microsoft Dynamics CRM just got even better. So thank you for joining us today. We've got a great attendance this morning, which is fantastic. Great to see you here just before we all break up for Christmas, of course. My name is Paul Ince. I'm a solutions architect at TSG, and I'm joined today by Leigh Odell, one of our senior CRM specialists. How are you doing, Leigh? As it's Christmas, I thought we would be a bit festive today. This is actually what we look like whilst we're doing this presentation to you this morning. I hope you have your mince pie and cup of tea ready. Here's what we'll actually cover today. We will start off by looking at the context around the new release and how it responds to some of the changes in the sales landscape and all of our customers' needs, our customers, your customers. Then Leigh will give you a tour of the new features before we give you the chance to ask us some questions. And now with all of our webinars, everyone is muted, and that's really to minimize the background noise. But if you would like to ask us a question, then do that by entering it into the question box within the webinar control panel, which is on the right-hand side of your screen. And I will collate all of the questions whilst Leigh is demonstrating so that we can pull similar questions together, and then we'll run through those at the Q&A section at the end of the webinar this morning. Now I can see who submits all questions, so if there is something that is particular to your implementation, or in fact if we run out of time, then what we'll do is we'll contact you specifically after the webinar to answer those directly to you. Okay, so before we get into the information itself, and to really help us tailor this webinar to you guys out there, I'd like to start off with asking you a question, which is really, which version of CRM are you currently using? I'm going to do that by launching a poll. So you should see on the screen that question, which version of Microsoft Dynamics CRM are you currently using? And you can vote by selecting the appropriate option. So there's version 4, there is 2011, 2013. There's the option to say I'm not using a CRM system at all, or in fact I'm using a different CRM system altogether. Okay, I'll give you a couple of seconds to finish answering that. Okay, fantastic, thank you. I'll actually show you the results of that on the screen here. So as you can see, quite interesting, I think, really. And most people are on version 2011, and some of you aren't using the CRM system at all. So that would actually reflect what we find, I think, in terms of where people are with Microsoft Dynamics CRM. Obviously 2013 came out a year ago, but quite a few people haven't made the jump yet to 2013. So hopefully people will join the CRM 2015 party and join that. So thank you for voting on that. Let's have a look at some of the landscape that's out there at the moment. For those of you who've been on previous CRM webinars with us, you'll know that I like to give out a few statistics. So here are some that outline how the sales landscape has changed since the expansion of smartphones and tablets in particular, the explosion of social media, and how all of these things basically interact with each other. And just looking at the list of you guys attending today, it's a mix of B2B and B2C customers, so fortunately I have stats for both of those. The average B2B purchase has just under 5.5 stakeholders. Not quite sure how you get under 5.5, but obviously it's a statistic, so it's not real people. But 5.4 stakeholders are involved in the decision, and that's a lot of people to impress. Those of you who sell to consumers need to be aware that your customers are typically 57% of the way through the buying process before they even talk to you, and that stat actually rises to a staggering 70% if your customers are other businesses. Now, when you consider that 97% of cold calls are actually ineffective, then you can start to see how important it is to deliver that incredible service to your existing customers, because those customers will return, and critically, they'll spread a positive message about your business to customers who are not yet your customers, if you see what I mean. So how can we help your team adapt to this new world? Well, there's another mischievous stat here on the screen which says that salespeople only retain 30% of the training information after 1 week of gaining the knowledge. Now, I'm sure your team is the exception here, but clearly we need to make sure that your colleagues have all the information at their fingertips to ensure that they can sell more effectively. Salespeople face many challenges today, one of which is certainly the fact that customers don't seem to want to be sold to. And if those customers are already making up their minds about you, progressing through their decision-making process ahead of you means that you really can't jump into the sales process at the beginning, it seems. So what you have to do these days is quickly meet them wherever they are in that process and understand where they are in that process. And that means that what you need is a system that allows you to get up to speed very, very quickly and develop insight so that you can engage your customers or your prospects in a relevant way. So I talked about the fact that cold calling is ineffective, whereas social connections drive higher response rates. That's definitely where things are going these days. So you need to be able to identify those key decision makers, those 5.4 stakeholders, very quickly, and you need to engage with them frequently so that you can win faster. An interesting statistic at the bottom of the slide here, those who use social networks in their selling processes are 51% more likely to reach their targets than those who don't. So if you're not starting to look at social mechanisms to be involved in your selling process, then that's something that we would advise you to do some research on. Now, obviously everyone wants to be able to sell more, but sometimes I think we overlook the contribution that our non-sales colleagues, usually in the customer service or admin departments, can make. And the ability to work together in a much more open and collaborative way is how sales teams are now driving success. That means you need to be able to tap into your internal network and drive forward with them what are essentially mutually desirable outcomes. And your business solution, whatever that is, will play a critical role in enabling that. So with that, let's have a look at what's new in Microsoft Dynamics CRM 2015 from a sales perspective. Some of these, by the way, apply not just to sales but to other areas of the system, as Leigh will demonstrate in a short while. Firstly, we have improvements in the mobile and tablet applications. If you've got Microsoft's digital assistant already, Cortana, on your device, then you will be able to ask your phone questions of your CRM systems, which initially is quite bizarre, but again, certainly where things are going. We have a new collaboration screen between CRM and Microsoft Dynamics Marketing, if you have that. There's also improved guided processes, and this is definitely something that Leigh will show shortly. If you're on 2013 now, you'll already know how amazing and valuable these process flows can be, but now you can branch off to different processes depending on the scenario, so that's nice and flexible. In the product area, we now have the ability to bundle products together and also make cross-selling suggestions. We can visualize the relationships between different records, which is extremely useful when you're trying to understand your customer's organizational structure, if they have a complex one. And at the end of the day, well, what do you do with all of that data? Well, of course, you analyze it. So there are now pre-built Microsoft Power BI templates available. If you haven't heard of Power BI yet, definitely talk to us about how you can use Office 365 to display all of your business reports in one place. So that's the sales department went over. What about the customer service team, which is another critical team in managing that customer relationship? Well, the challenge really for customer service organizations now is to support every customer with information that is personal and contextual. So here are some more stats for you. So today, 67% of consumers use web self-service to find answers to their questions. And you'll notice when we're talking about self-service, it's probably the self-serving customer who found you before you engaged with them in the first place. So this is very much how people want to be engaging with organizations today. But if they do want to chat or speak to someone, then they expect a seamless transition to a real person who understands what they've already done and that history from the company that, particularly if they're an existing customer. And customer service teams who are empowered to have the context of the interaction, whether that's through self-service or another mechanism, where they have access to the resources to answer the questions, and where they can get everything from a single screen, are going to be much more effective customer service team members for you, and are certainly going to be happier in their day-to-day role. And in fact, happier agents are twice as likely to deliver on customer satisfaction scores. Now, unfortunately, while 90% of organisations say that customer service matters, only 30% of customers feel that they receive a great service, and that's really quite a gap. So we've got to think about how do we close the gap between that 90% and the 30% there. So just thinking about CRM in particular, well, again, looking at social mechanics and mobile, as I said earlier, that's really changed customer expectations for how they interact with companies. And I've certainly vented my frustrations on social media with the knowledge that, if I do tag the organisation, then I will probably get a response, because certainly the big brands, if you look out for those on the likes of Twitter, they have teams deployed to engage with people, their customers on Twitter, and manage that noise. What customers do want to do now is connect on the channel of their choice. So that might be the web, that might be Twitter, it might be other social networks, it might be through chat facilities on your website, it might be by email, or shock horror, it might actually be by using the telephone. Now, if you can use multiple channels, then you can improve that customer service by a whopping 36%. What people do still want is a personalized service, so you need to be able to have their previous history at your fingertips. And if that service can be proactive, well, all the better, really. 86% of customers are willing to pay more for a better customer experience, but they will expect, and do expect, high quality, a consistent service on whichever channel that they choose, whether that's the web or on the phone. And your customer service teams really do deserve the tools to deliver that exceptional customer service, which I'm sure that you want to deliver, and they need that from a single application. So they need the right answers, they need to set the right time, and they need to therefore be able to make the right decision. And all of this really increases their productivity. So thinking about the way in which we can do that, it is important for you to differentiate your brand and really drive that customer retention, but that probably requires you to have somewhat of an agile service environment so that you can adjust and anticipate the needs of your customers, which will change over time and certainly will change as we innovate through technology. And as the stat here says, there's been a 70% increase in the use of social channels for customer service. I touched on that just a moment ago. And all major brands have those social service teams now. So there's no reason why smaller organizations can't take the advantages of these tools. And with CRM 2015, you absolutely have those. So that's sort of the background to this release. What I want to do is to actually give you a look and feel of the system, and just bring back Leigh in at this point. Leigh, you go out and sell CRM, so what's the killer feature that you're finding with 2015 that's really turning heads?
So I think going out and speaking to the customers that I deal with, it's probably split between the universal search, so the ability to search across the entire database, all of the different entities from one area, and the enhanced mobile experience, both of which I will show you in due course. Paul's touched on it as well in terms of questions. There will be a slide upon the end of the presentation that gives you a contact email address, so if you do think of anything after the demo is completed, please do send the question over and we'll answer it as soon as we can. So in terms of the demo, I want to start with the universal search, which is a new feature in 2015, as I've mentioned. So up on the top right-hand side of the screen, we've got this new search box just along from the navigation panel, and within this I can search across all of the entities within the system, and that includes wildcards. So to give you an example, I'll just do a quick search for CON, press enter, and what this returns to me is all of the different records. So we've got accounts, contacts, leads, etc. that actually relate to this search. So I can click into Contoso Pharmaceuticals, I can click into Robert's contact record who works for Contoso. So within one place, one screen, I've got the ability to search across all of these different entities. In keeping with the enhanced searching functionality, CRM 2015 now also has the ability to dive into the advanced find from the home screen or from any area of the system based upon just clicking this button up here on the ribbon. So if I go into the advanced find, this brings back the advanced find tool for me, and it gives me a chance to also introduce some of the new criteria. So I'm looking at accounts, and if I just choose account name, I can show you all of the different queries that I can use to actually search the account name, and this now includes some new ones such as does not begin with and does not end with. So if I just choose does not end with, put a value in here, perhaps build another line of the query, and just group them together as an AND. So I'm looking for an account name that does not end with A, but an account name that contains CON, and I hit results. It brings me back my Contoso Pharmaceuticals record. And as before, I can save these searches as favourites and share them with colleagues if I need to. But if I just click into this record, I can start working with it. And it gives me a chance to show you some of the other new features too. So down here on the right hand side, I can now nominate child accounts. So I can determine if there are any links to this record. So if you imagine a company's group structure, this is how I can start building it. And here, just this button here, on the top right hand side, I can view a graphical representation of this. So if I just click this, it's actually going to show me several images that show me the group structure in terms of records that are linked together. You can also apply this to other entities. So if you imagine contact records, if you were looking at a TSG record, for example, you'd be able to see all of the different people that work within the business, perhaps what department they're in, who their managers were, etc. If I just come back out to Contoso, sure that loads up. And what I want to do is spend some time talking you through the new business process branches in terms of the additional functionality that's been included here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new opportunity. And I'm going to give a quick topic because that's a mandatory field. What this will do is pop the record up. And you can see, as in 2013, we've got these guided processes along the top. So what this is doing me, just to remind you, is prompting the user to enter several pieces of information that we deem critical to the business. So we've got things like identifying the contact, identifying the business that it relates to. But what we can do now in 2015 is, based upon the values we put in these fields, we can deviate away from this branch and add new areas into it. So for example, if I was to enter a budget in this field that is over £10,000 and click Save, a new stage appears of credit review. And what this is asking me to do as a user is carry out a credit check. So before I can move on to other stages of this process branch, it's saying to me, have you undertaken the necessary steps to perform a credit check to ensure that this business is actually able to pay for this business should we win it. And in terms of where I'm seeing this really add value in terms of my customers, is that if you manage a business that has an escalation route or perhaps an approval process of sorts, such as if a opportunity is loaded over a certain value, it might need approval from a manager. This is really adding value there. In terms of other areas of the system that have been enhanced in 2015, what we have is the new product bundles as well. So what I'll do is I'll just choose a price list and add some new products in. And I'll just expand this so you can see. What we've got here now is the ability to add product bundles. So here I've got one as an example. So I've got Office 365 and CRM Online Small Business. So if I just highlight this, click into it, you can see the different bundle products that relate to this. So within it we have Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, Link Online and CRM Online. So if I add this in, you can see all of the different bundle items have appeared under this one product, and I can expand and collapse that. If I add another one in, for example CRM Online Standard, what I can also do is show you, so the original one is there and the new one is above it, is the suggestions box. So if I click suggestions, based on the product that I'm looking at, which remember was CRM Online Standard, this will give me all of the different products that will relate to it. So we've created relationships, so I might want to cross-sell. There might be specific accessories that come with this product that would be listed here. But in this instance, it's saying to me, why not upsell? If they're looking at CRM Standard, is CRM Professional more applicable? And if so, I can update the product by clicking here. So if you've got people that are selling products, so if we take TSG as an example, if we were selling a printer, when we add the printer into this, it would come up with all the different peripherals perhaps that would be related to that printer, such as print cartridges, in one easy to access screen. If I come back into the Contoso record, I can also show you the new functionality in terms of the SLAs. So if I add a new case here on the right hand side, just by clicking the plus arrow, and I call it System Down, which again, based on the red star, means it's mandatory. And I click into it. Again, along the top, this gives me a chance to reiterate the process branches. So as we go through this process here, for instance, if we said that it was a different type of case, this process branch may deviate if it was a critical case, or if it was a standard case, or if it was a case that related to, in TSG's world, an application. It might be routed to a different team and therefore different questions to be asked. But if I just give this record an entitlement, what I'm saying here is that Contoso received from us the previous premium service. And what that means is that within this premium service there are a number of SLAs that are already built into it. And if I scroll down, you can see these. So based upon the premium service, I have to give a response based upon this timer, a first response. So CRM is monitoring how quickly a service representative is making this first response. It also has a resolution timer which is ticking down, and as these timers tick down and near their completion and come to an end, things like escalation rules and notifications will be put in place, so it will start prompting the user to say this is about to expire. But if I look at the additional details, it is down here that I can start determining how I'm working with this case. So I can say it's a question, and I can start saying that a follow-up response has been sent and when it was. And I can save this information, and therefore as I start inputting this information, the timers actually will start stopping, or they can be paused. So if I give you an example, at the moment we're looking in progress. if I was dealing with this case with a customer, what I can now do is actually pause these timers. Because if I pass this case back, for example, I need some additional information, I'd want to be able to pause the timer and give a true reflection of the complete response time. So if I just go down and put on hold and press save, you can see that the timer has actually changed to being paused. The first response, because I've completed it and said yes, is now succeeded, but the resolution time is paused because this case isn't actually with me anymore. I've put it back to the customer. Perhaps I've asked for some additional information to help me come to the conclusion in terms of resolving this case. And when it's passed back, I can put the status back as in progress, for example, and the timer will resume. As you can see, it's picked up from where it was before. And we can do all sorts of things in terms of automating this. So we can make CRM monitor whether response has been set. So if a task has been completed, a phone call has been completed, or if an email has gone to the customer, that may act as your first response. And based on that going out, the first response can be automatically set to be succeeded. And this brings me on to the next bit of the presentation, which is the mobile application. So I'm demonstrating this on the laptop that I have, but it's key for me to stress at the moment that this experience is the same across all devices. So whether that's Apple, whether it's a Google, an Android device, a Windows device, this experience is completely the same across any device. And I've got a number of different areas of the system that are pinned to my home screen that I can scroll across. Looks and feels exactly the same as the interface that I was using previously. And I'm able to click down into this information if I wish. So I can look at my sales pipeline, for example. If I just click into it, it brings up all of the records that are making up my pipeline. And if I wanted to look at a particular area of this, if I click it, the information on the right-hand side refreshes to reflect this. And this user experience is pertinent to the person that is using it. So these are records and these are views that I've chosen to pin on my home page. So if I'm a salesperson out on the road, when I load up my iPad, for example, and I hit my home screen, it's full of information that's relevant to me based on my day-to-day role. And that, I think, concludes the new functionality for CRM 2015. I'd like to pass back over to Paul and see if we've got any questions, and just remind you that if you do think of any questions after the demo is completed, you can send them over to the email address that we'll provide at the end, and we'll come back to you as soon as we can with an answer.
Great, many thanks, Leigh. It really is an incredible release, and there are some great new features which I'm sure many of you who are watching this today will be able to benefit from. Now, don't forget that there is a much faster release schedule these days, so Microsoft can introduce these new features every 6 months or so. And if you're on version 2011 or earlier, which our poll earlier suggested, I would say it's really now the time to make the step to the latest version, because once you're on 2013 or 2015 now, it really will be easier to upgrade in the future. So moving from one version to the next should be much faster, with much less disruption to your business. Now, before we go into any questions, and you've got a couple of minutes to get those in, there's a change to licensing to update you on, which I just want to make you aware of. It is an improvement. Don't worry about the amount of information on this screen. I'm not going to test you later, but I'll just bring out the salient points. If you have CRM Online, then you can access that. You can access an on-premise version with the same access rights as you have if you have online. Also, Unified Service Desk is now part of the professional license. So for those of you who are watching this that have that license, you can now do that. You can access Unified Service Desk. Parature, which is the omni-channel customer service application which Microsoft acquired a couple of years ago. If you have the enterprise license of Dynamics CRM, that will now give you access to Parature. And there are also price drops for storage if anyone has Microsoft Dynamics Marketing. So lots of information there. Obviously, when you have a discussion with one of our CRM specialists like Leigh, then they can sort of take you through all of that. There is a current promotion on for CRM Online that's worth knowing about. You can now take CRM Online Professional plus Office 365 and Power BI for the grand sum of £42.79 per month. And just by way of comparison, you know, if you were not to use this promotion and just buy CRM Online Professional, that would be about £40 per month anyway. So you can see the additional value of that Office 365 E3 plan, which is the enterprise level plan for Office 365, and Power BI for £2.79 or so, which is fantastic. The promotion is running until June next year. But if you're looking to expand your system or take advantage of the wonderful product that is Power BI, well, now really is the time. So I'd suggest considering giving yourself an early Christmas present there. Okay, so let's answer some of the questions that have been posed during the webinar. We've had a few questions. I think we'll manage to get through them all, which is great. As I said in the introduction, where questions are very specific to you, we will come back to you on an individual basis via a telephone call just to go through that rather than kind of share what might be confidential information to everybody. So the first question relates actually to the SLAs. There's a couple of questions on this, so I'm going to hand this over to Leigh. So the first question on SLAs is, can SLAs send you an email when they are about to expire? And actually that's sort of similar to another question that we had, which is about whether the system can notify you, if you miss your SLA response time. So do you want to just maybe just give us a couple of thoughts on that, Leigh?
Yep, so in terms of the SLA monitoring, an email is just one of the types of alert that you can receive when the timer is ticking down. So you could use an email, you could use a view that shows you all of your SLAs that are about to expire. You could have a dashboard as well, so not only email, you've got different options in terms of how to proactively present that information to a user.
Okay, thanks, Leigh. Next question, I'll take this one. Is the iPad app free? All of the apps on the various app stores are free to download, and they're free to use. You can't use the system without having a core CRM system, but the apps themselves are absolutely free. Next question is sort of similar actually, so I'll take this one as well. Can you use the app with an on-premise version? Yes, you can. What you have to do is you have to open up your system to the web. We call that internet-facing deployment. But basically, as long as your device can access your CRM system through the tablet or the mobile's browser, then you would be able to use the mobile the mobile app, the tablet app, because the principle is the same. You're just connecting to the data source at the back end, whether that's online at Microsoft or whether that is in fact on your premises. Next question, this one can go to Leigh, similar to the mobile question, but is the mobile home screen the same for everybody?
Thanks, Paul. So the mobile screen is pertinent to the user that's logged in and using it, so it's an experience that is role-tailored for that person. So you pin your records that are based on your key KPIs, the information that you want to see, so that when you hit your home screen, it's full of information that actually is relevant to your day-to-day role. So it's not the same for everyone.
Okay, great. And a question on charity discount. Is there a charity discount? I've had quite a lot of dealings with working with the non-profit sector for Dynamics CRM, so I'll take this one. In terms of charities, there is a process at Microsoft whereby if you are eligible and meet certain criteria, then you can qualify for what is a sizable discount on Microsoft licenses anyway, and that also applies to Microsoft Dynamics CRM. So the simple and short answer is yes. The key question would be whether or not you are eligible. What I would suggest is that when we come to look at it with you, that we walk you through that process. We talk to you about what the eligibility criteria is and help make that application, because it is an application process. But we've done this many times before for customers, so we can give you the hints and tips on how to apply for that successfully. And yes, that is for online. Okay, I've had a couple of questions about marketing. What I'm going to do with the marketing questions is definitely take those offline just from this particular webinar, if that's okay with you. But for those of you who asked a question about marketing, then we will get in touch and deliver those answers to you personally. Okay, that concludes our questions. And actually, that concludes our webinar today. So once again, I'd like to thank you for taking time out of your day to join us today. If this webinar has sparked an interest in CRM 2015, or if you think of a further question following today that you'd like to ask directly, then of course the team at TSG would be more than happy to help you out. The details on how to contact us are actually on the screen here. So we have a web chat facility now on tsg.com. Go on there and you'll see the chat facility appear. Just enter a question into there, and our colleagues will be able to direct you to the appropriate person to get that answered. Of course, you can email us at info@tsg.com, or using that traditional method, pick up the telephone, give us a call, 0845 1111 888. That's 0845 1111 888. Hope you have a great day. However long you stay working until Christmas, I hope it's a nice, easy ride through to Christmas. But all of our Christmas wishes go from Leigh and I to you. I hope you have a great break. And if we don't get to speak to you before, then we will certainly see you in the new year. Many thanks.